Just because a person seems strong, that don't mean they're strong. That because a person seems weak, that don't mean they're weak.
We make a lot of assumptions or come to certain conclusions when people are speaking.
Yes. Sometimes you can say the right thing at the wrong time.
Yeah. I really prefer telephone calls over text messages. Now, you are so ready in your mind to respond that you don't hear what the person is saying. Because already...
And a lot of us is guilty.
You just did it. You just did it. You're quick to hear and slow to speak.
Sometimes you gotta learn to be a listener and not a speaker. Yo, it's your boy, LJ Chaplin, with Lady Siza, bringing to you Chilling with the Chaplins, where we deep dive, giving you practical concepts in ministry, business, relationship, and personal development. So we can take control of our life. Let's go and let's get it started.
Hey there, Chaplin Chillers.
What's going on? What's good? What's
doing? With the voice of the legendary Wendy Williams. How you doing, family? We good, and we're happy to have you once again on this beautiful day, Friday. So we're here with another banger. Say banger.
Banger. Yes.
And we, because we're still in the month of love, right? Love is all about relationships.
Yes.
Right. So we thought, let us come up with some ways that we can share with you on how to be an effective communicator. Because listen, if you're not an effective communicator, you won't make that relationship work.
No.
And because majority of relationships, in fact, all relationships, the one thing that makes them collapse or end is bad communication.
Bad communication, misunderstanding.
And it all because of bad communication.
Bad communication.
And if you look at research, you hear from
business people,
psychiatrists, psychologists, people who deal with people in relationships of any sort, be it business, like you said, marriage, even family. When there's a miscommunication, then that relationship is going to break down.
Yes.
So we're not just talking to couples,
single people, business people.
We're talking to everyone because we're all in one relationship or the other. Yes. Right. So let's get this going. So we're talking about ways to become an effective communicator. So hit us, Chaplin.
Yes.
That is the first one that we're going to talk about.
Yes, but before I go there, I do like to say, I quoted this, which I said, I quoted myself in service when I spoke. A wise person gives no interruption or interpretation, I added that word, or interpretation that will lead to misunderstanding. So a person that's know how to effectively communicate with your spouse, your partner, your friend, your cousin, son, daughter, whoever, anyone that are close to you, anyone that you are working with. If you're a wise person, you don't give no interruption or interpretation that will lead to misunderstanding, because we don't want to have misunderstanding in our relationship. We want to have like a mutual interest, a mutual benefit, mutual understanding, as my wife always quote the mutual benefits. And so we want this mutual understanding. And so to right now, we want to talk about one of the first points is think carefully before speaking. So what you think about that, baby? Think carefully.
I'm a student to that, because sometimes I just speak my mind. I don't think before I speak. So this is gonna be one of those where I'm learning a lot, because I need to learn how to think before I speak in most cases. Sometimes I just speak what I feel, and in most cases it doesn't get to the receiver the way I had anticipated it to.
Yes.
And I think that's where most our communication breaks down, where we say things and to the next person it sounds in a different way, but it was unintentionally given out for it to sound the way it was received. So that's another communication skill where, as the person who's communicating something, you must be able to communicate it in such a way that the receiver gets what you're saying, understands it.
Yes. And that's why you gotta take the time out to think before you speak.
Yeah.
Take the time out to consider what you're gonna say. Don't assume what a person is feeling, what they're thinking, what they're saying, what they're doing. They're not mind. You're not mind readers, and just because a person is strong, that don't mean he's not breaking down on the inside. And we see that all the times, and even like with the young man Twix who lost his life. That's a sad occasion. But you might feel like, man, this guy is so strong. He's always dancing. He got so much joy. So happy. Looks so happy. But, how can he lose his life? But we don't know what he was going through. And for us and for you sometimes to assume that they're so strong and never reach out. Never say nothing of an encouraging word, or never say hi. So we don't assume anything, because just because a person seems strong, that don't mean they're strong. That because a person seems weak, that don't mean they're weak. Definitely, because also you want to think as well, because sometimes you can say the right thing at the wrong time.
Yeah, timing is everything.
Time is everything. So that's why you gotta think carefully, because sometimes it could be the right time, but you said the wrong thing, and it just throw off the whole energy. It just throw off the whole vibe. So this is why you gotta think carefully before you speak, so that you're able to. Your words can be seasoned with salt. Your words can be seasoned with salt and not with bitter.
Right.
And I
just want to also add that, in terms of the assumption part, we make a lot of assumptions or come to certain conclusions when people are speaking.
Yes.
If you feel like you heard it in a certain way, why don't you just go back to the person and ask for clarity? Like, can you just explain this part? What were you trying to say in that part? I might have heard it wrong.
Yeah.
And I think in counseling they taught us that repeat the words back to the person.
Yes, yeah.
Because maybe they heard
something
the first
different.
part. Because some people are selective listeners.
Selective listeners, and some people are long-winded as well when they speak.
Guilty as charged, and you might and you might say too much for the person's mind to consume. So they might just hear the first part and not hear the middle and the end part. But the person who was speaking, the most important part was probably the middle and the end part.
Yeah.
So now you're being misunderstood.
Yes.
Because you are either long-winded, or you said it in a way that other person that you are communicating with didn't really grasp it.
Yeah, and just because you ask them questions as much as you need it, don't mean that you're stupid. It just means you're trying to get some understanding. It just means you're trying to get some clarity. You're trying to make things clear. So we say over-communicate. Over-communicating is better than no communication.
Or under-communication.
Or under-communication. Because, sometimes, I'm black, so I can talk about black folks. We do this. Sometimes we can be communicating to someone, right? And somebody says something, and then we just act like we heard them when we really didn't. Because we feel like maybe we don't want to make them feel bad. Selective listeners. And we just don't want to, it seem like, oh man, maybe they might look bad. We ask them, what did you say again? Pardon, or excuse me? Can you repeat that? So, no, you just bring in clarity. You're not making the other person feel bad. You're not ignorant of any way or stupid of any way. No, you just want clarity. So ask as many questions as you can until you get an understanding of what the other person say. So even like when me and my wife were doing the counseling, a lot of times because she's long-winded, I had to okay, babe, I had to repeat the thing maybe 2 or 3 times because I never got it right, to the point that she had to speak less. She had to break it down and began to, instead of speaking everything out, she had to say, okay, this is what I mean. And she had to say a little bit so I could hear it. And sometimes that's proper communication. A lot of times you maybe, instead of speaking, we always say in Miles Monroe, thinking, you give a woman a word, she'll give you a sentence. You give her a sentence, she'll give you a paragraph. You give her a paragraph, she'll give you a book. So we know, so now for, maybe instead of paragraph, you got to give her a sentence. You got to bring it down where it's a sentence so that you're able to understand what you're saying, and they can repeat back what you say.
But also, I think one thing is that it's not what you really say. That's
it's how you say it too.
That's it. It's not what you say, but it's how you can say the most harshest thing. But if you're saying it in a nice way, it might not feel the sting as you saying it in a hard, harsh way,
yes.
right? So how it lands is important than how it's actually given.
It's actually given. And I do have to say this because you said this and it just came back to me when you were talking about something that you had to work on on the first thing carefully before speaking. Now, I do have to have a disclaimer as well because this is something I also struggle with, having effective communication because, a lot of times, if for those individuals who are like me, maybe an introvert, sometimes we don't know how to communicate well because maybe we are in our head. Mm-hmm. Like myself, I was in my head because I feel like I didn't get the love or I didn't feel appreciated or I didn't get the support. So I was in my head and because I sounded the way I sound to me, mm-hmm. The way how I bring forth my words. I was in my head and I didn't want to feel embarrassed. Mm. So
you kept to yourself.
I kept to myself because I didn't want to feel embarrassed. I didn't want to feel hurt and said the wrong thing or, feel stupid when I wasn't. So by me feeling that way, I didn't communicate or I didn't know how to communicate because I kept everything within. And so for those individuals who was like me and still maybe feeling that way, that don't know how to communicate, it's okay. Because again, I'm glad, I thank God that the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me in 2019 to look for you. Don't worry about who like you, who support you, who don't support you, because at the end of the day, not everybody's gonna like you. Everybody's not for you, and all you're doing, you're looking for.
You're not money.
Yeah, all you're doing, you're looking for you, and so I had to learn how, and I'm learning how to communicate because what we said before, we said this, and I thank God for the podcast. We say, once your mind expands, there's no going back. So now because I'm learning and understand how to have effective communication, I'm able to work towards having effective communication because I know how to have effective communication. And by this podcast, I'm learning how to express myself in a way that will be uplifting and not,
So on that point, in asking questions, as much as you need to get understanding, like you said, you rather over-communicate than under-communicate.
Yes.
Rather, you look almost like a fool, mm-hmm. so that at least you're on the same page and nobody is reading into or between the lines and
or assuming,
making assumptions.
Yeah.
So that's an important one. I'm gonna bite my tongue a lot on this one because I have so much on my mind while he's talking. I just want to talk because that's my character. But as we learn,
they can see it too.
As we're learning effective communication, we're learning that number 3, don't be too quick to get your point across. So I'm trying to be humble. I'm trying to let him finish. And also, my husband, his words sometimes take long to come out. So I just want to finish the words for him. And I know that's wrong communication, but I'm burning my tongue. I'm drinking water so that I don't over-talk. I don't talk over him. And when I do, it's not intentional. Sometimes I'm just excited. And I'm like, yeah, I get you. And I just want to say that point, but it's by no means trying to belittle him or look down upon him or feel like I'm finishing off his sentences because he's not smart enough. No, none of those. I respect this man, love this man, and you know, it's just, I guess, part of my character where I just want to say it now because it's valuable information, because if I don't say it, I'll forget it. And I'm learning that you can wait, hold on, wait until he speaks, and then your turn comes. So bear with me. I'm a student in progress.
Yes. Yeah, because again, I do take a little longer to get my words out, but that don't mean I'm stupid, because I'm very smart. I have a master's degree.
Thank you very much.
And you know, so that, and one thing I did, oh man, I'm telling you, when I went to school, because I used to thought I wasn't smart enough.
Think.
Huh? I used to think I wasn't smart enough. Mm-hmm. What did I say?
Thought.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's still black.
Yes, it's elementary education, you know. But
English is not our friend.
Yeah, English is not our friend. Yes, even though I was born in America. But the thing is, I used to think I wasn't smart enough, because the way how I was. So until I went to college. When I went to college was the first time, like, hold on, they're just like me. Everybody, they're not just smart. They're not that smart. They don't know vocabulary like that. They mess up on words. They mess up on spelling. So I said, oh, okay, I'm not the only one. Mm-hmm. So I want to tell you, you're not the only one.
That's why exposure is so important.
Yes, that's why exposure is so important.
If you had not gone to college, you would have not known that you just like everybody else.
Yes.
And we have so many people who actually have learning disabilities. You know, your dyslexia, your people who are in the spectrum.
hypertension.
Right. You know, mild spectrum mostly, or who are actually very smart. In fact,
they're the smartest.
They actually, I was about to say,
they're the smartest.
The scientist, what's his name?
Einstein.
Einstein was in the spectrum.
Yeah, he was in the spectrum.
And he was pretty
brilliant.
Smart. He was brilliant.
Yeah.
He was a genius, and people just misinterpret people who are in the spectrum. We'll speak about the spectrum in another podcast, just so that we explain and break it down, because we're bringing it up a lot in our podcast. We understand that, but it's just people who have certain disabilities and you know, who are regarded as slow in some other cases, but they're not actually slow.
But maybe they acted,
or they learn in a different way.
Yeah, learn a different way. Yeah. So and that's the thing. Cause I'm like, oh, because that's the first time I noticed. Oh, we just alike. You know, cause I'm like, okay, you know what? Because in certain areas, we all have some strengths and weaknesses. So everyone had different strengths and weaknesses, and everyone learned differently. Like I said, that's another thing that I learned is what in school, you know, I'm like, oh, okay, some people are visual learners. Some people learn by doing. Some people are textual learners.
Yeah.
And so sometimes in school, they only teach you one way.
Yeah.
And guess what? They categorize, and they categorize those other individuals that learn by doing and learn by visual, and they feel like, oh, they don't get it, they don't understand. No, they don't learn that way, so that's why they didn't pick it up. You gotta teach me another way. Because if you don't know how to be diversified as a teacher, then you will never get to your students.
But the sad part is that that's how the system is built.
Yeah.
Teaching this way, we are taught to cram stuff and sing back the textbook to the teacher or to in our exams, and that's not necessarily the most smartest way, because you can just imagine most of the things that we learn in school, I don't remember that. I don't know what it meant for me to dissect a frog and what it's doing for me now, you know, in real life and in grown-up life and in adulting life. But it was part of the curriculum to learn how to dissect a frog, and then you had to cram the stuff, and if you're good in cramming, then you would get an A, and if you're not so good in cramming, then you would fail, or you'd get a lower grade, and then they'll see you as not so smart, which was not true. And the next point that we're about to talk about is don't interrupt the other person while they're speaking before they're done. Is so hard. Like, listen, he's saying something, and I have something to add on what he is currently saying, or maybe I have a better point. I wait until he's done. What if I forget? But this one is key to communication.
Yeah, it's key.
Because what happens is now you are so ready in your mind to respond that you don't hear what the person is saying. Because already...
And we, a lot of us is guilty.
You just did it. You just did it. You just did it. You just did it. We talked about it. You just did it. We don't wait for each other to finish. I know that I might be explaining too long, but I'm still putting my point across. But this is the problem.
Yes.
We speak over each other. We don't give each other time because we're already coming with an answer. We're already coming with a, whatever. And that's where communication is broken.
Yeah.
Now you don't hear my whole point, and then you come in like, but I was about to say that, but you didn't give me a chance to finish.
And that's where misunderstanding coming in and miscommunications, because you're not allowing, you interrupting, because you so quick to speak, you don't hear what the person's saying. So basically, you're not listening. You're just trying to jump the gun and trying to get your point across so that you can be heard. When you really make yourself look like a fool.
I guess I look like a fool in majority of our videos. Oh, I'm so heartbroken. Nah, I'm not. It's just who I am, but I'm really trying, like I said, to bite my tongue and to listen more than speaking, because I realize that that's the key to communication.
Yes, that's the key. It's
not just to my husband, but to people, to the relationships that I'm forming. And that is why, I really prefer telephone calls over text messages. Because in a telephone call, you get to speak, the person gets to speak and you hear the emotions and, you can tell their mood and stuff like that. Text messages is another story altogether where people can be misunderstood. Because you will be reading it in the mood that you're in at that time. And sometimes we get in our heads and we read it in the way that we think this person meant, and the person meant something totally different.
Yes,
and
we start assuming because we can't see their expressions.
Right, and that's why because some people don't like phone calls, I then say, okay, do a voice note. At least I can hear your voice. I can kind of think what your mood was like because I can kind of feel it.
Because again, we visual beings.
Right, and then I'm able to respond back. But these text messages, they don't do it for me because they lead to this broken communication a lot.
Yeah, they lead to different barriers. Definitely different barriers, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of build barriers. And I think this point leads to our next one, where let the conversation be guided by your ears rather than your mouth. And the Bible says it very well, like be quick to hear and slow to speak. Because we are quick to speak than to hear. The Bible would not have said it
like the interrupting.
If it wasn't actually a thing, so let's guide. And Coach LJ says this.
Yes.
That be guided by the conversation. Let the conversation be guided by your ears, then by your mouth. So that's a great quote, Coach LJ.
Thank you.
Because the majority of the communication is 80%.
Yes, majority of 80% listening, 20% speaking. So if you're speaking most of the time, you're not having a conversation.
You're a bad communicator.
You're a bad communicator.
What if you're long-winded like me and if you like to talk and you like hearing your voice?
You're a bad communicator. You're a bad communicator.
I gotta do better. I gotta do
But
better.
you know what though? Some occasions you might need to speak more because maybe you need to express yourself. You're going through something and you have to, so that's the only time you're going to speak a lot more because maybe you need to get something out. And the person that you're speaking to, that person's job only there to listen. So maybe you're not supposed to speak at all. And you're supposed to let that person speak 100% of the time because there's something that person needs to get out of their system. Because if they don't get it out of their system, then what can happen? They can fall into depression. They can go into mental mental illness, and they can commit suicide and lose their life and all these different things. Now, if you're in that state, we want to give you, we want to throw this disclaimer out there right now, because if you are feeling suicidal, we want to let you know, please call the suicide hotline, because we don't want you to get to the point where you feel so, because if you don't have no one to talk to, then you have to be able to reach out to someone, and that's what the suicide hotline is for, is to listen to you. You know.
And if you have a mental illness, see a therapist. It's so important to see somebody who's professional.
Yes.
Because you want to always keep that under check.
Yes.
Because you don't know what the next trigger could be, and we lose a lot of young people through suicide. Because they just don't want to communicate, or are afraid to communicate because they're afraid to be judged.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you felt like they were strong, and now they come to you in their weakness. You're like, oh wait up, you know how black folks, you know how we do it. What? I thought they might be strong. We start talking about the person, but they don't want you. It's not your job to be talking about them. It's not your job to judge them. They come to you for you to console to them and not judge them. And that's the reason why sometimes people that are strong, they feel like they can't go to nobody, because if they go to you and console to you their weakness, you want to judge them. So we saying, like I said, sometimes you gotta learn to be a listener and not a speaker. Sometimes people need to speak all their frustration out, so they might have to speak 100% of the time.
And that's why they say listening is a skill.
It's a skill, yes.
Because it takes a skill to just sit and listen to a person go on and on and on and on, or express themselves. Yeah, especially when you're married to somebody, or you speaking. Let me not say married. You're speaking to somebody like my husband, who says very little. And you're trying to get like a response, or you're trying to get an answer. He's not giving you an answer, so you're like, oh my God, let me just answer for him then. I'll ask my own questions and I'll answer them myself.
But that's the thing, though. That's because of I didn't know how to communicate, so I'm learning how to express myself.
But it's not even that you're not knowing how to communicate.
I didn't.
Some people just rather not, because they feel like when somebody's communicating with them, it's confrontational. It's
conflict. And
now I have to defend myself. Yeah. They say saying nothing is you can't quote me when I said nothing. So saying nothing is also communication.
Yeah.
So communicate with the intentions to build somebody, edify, and not tear down. And when you do that, when you're communicating, that's why we say be very careful who you hang around with. You are what you attract. Be very careful who you hang around with, because you might hang around negative people and all they do is speak negative.
Yes.
Sometimes unintentionally, but because it's so much in their system that, they can't see any positive out of anything or anybody. Then all they do is tear down.
Negative Nancy, right?
Negative Nancy's, they never edify. All they do is just pull down. They just have that pull down syndrome. So we say communication is part of edifying. Even if there's something that's negative that you see or the person has said, have a way.
Yes, have a way
to probably break it down, or simplify it, or make them see that they've said something that's not supposed to be said the way they said it.
Yeah, and that's why we have a way. Always be your authentic self. Where you're able to be honest, where you're able to be genuine, where you're able to be straightforward. Because why? You are you. So we say, have a way to be able to be straightforward and honest, where you're not hurting nobody, you're not downgrading anybody, you're not belittling anybody, but you're being honest, you're being straightforward. So yes, you want to build up, because marriage people, sometimes even parents, sometimes we know how to tear down our partner. We know how to tear down our children. You ain't nobody. How many times in the black and the black race growing up, their parents told you you do that, you ain't gonna be nothing, you ain't gonna do this. How many times we heard that?
A lot.
And so,
and we see it a lot on social media too. Yeah. And you think, oh wow, okay, and they expect this child to be something someday or somebody someday. what you hear so often you become.
You become, yeah. So, you always put it down. So,
You stop believing.
You stop believing, yeah. So, like, even with a spouse, you always look at the negative instead of the positive. So, we're saying, here's an alternative. Instead of looking at the bad qualities of that individual, start looking at the positive qualities and start building up the positive qualities, because I'm telling you, we are emotional beings. Everyone loves appreciation. Everyone likes to be honored. Everyone likes support. Everyone likes to hear these good swelling words. Everyone. So when you build up these good qualities, when you find the good that person do, guarantee they begin to start working on the other qualities as well. Even the thing that you don't like about the individual.
But what if somebody keeps on repeatedly doing?
You still build up the good qualities.
Help me, Jesus.
You still build on the good qualities, because eventually people love appreciation. People love to feel honored. People love to be encouraged. And so when we say, "Oh, you did a good job," what that person, that dopamine motivate them to do more positive things. And so guess what? That dopamine begin to look for other ways, because you're like, "Oh, she said nice things about me about that. What about if I do this? What about if I do that? What else she would say? What else he would say?"
I think I heard this from my grandmother say, when I was young, but it stuck with me. Talking to one woman, she said, it's like when you appreciate somebody actually, I just love my grandmother too much. I wasn't my grandmother, I was a pastor. It's appreciating your husband, and they bought probably a microwave. The one that you have probably was broken down or whatever, and they come home with a microwave, and you're like, "Oh, my husband! Oh, what a great job! Thank you! You're the best husband in the world." And in
the back of your mind,
you edify him so much. He might have even bought the most cheapest brand, but the thing is, he bought it. And you edify him so much that the next day you will come with a fridge, or a car, a big TV screen or whatever, a big screen TV. But you give him more power.
Yeah, more power
to do better and do more.
Yes.
So
and the same thing for women.
Yeah,
same that encouragement. When you build up individuals, it goes a long way.
All angles.
Parents, everyone, partnership. If you partner with someone, you're a business partner. You learn how to "Oh man, you're doing a great job." That partnership that you're in, they want to do more for you. Yeah. They always say, what's the saying? You catch more bees with honey. Why?
True.
So that lets you know to be sweet to people. Because when you learn to be sweet, you catching more honeys, and you're attracting more people your way to do more for you. We always say Zig Ziglar, you help more people get what they want, you will get what you want. So when you learn how to build people up, they're gonna like, "Oh man, let me do this for that person. Man, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You know what? I think I'm gonna do a little extra this time." Why? Because you being sweet, you catch them with that honey, and they want to do more for you.
I like this next point.
Yes, go ahead.
Understanding that all communication
is not
just verbal. There's so much involved in communication.
Yes, so much.
So much involved. The non-verbal actually takes a bigger.
It's more powerful
than verbal, because you could be saying no, but your body's saying yes. And we've seen a lot of people say no, but the body's saying, "He's lying."
Yeah.
Not just with people, children most of the time. I didn't do it, but they have crumbs all over their face and stuff like that. Or they already cried because they know that they're guilty. So watch the non-verbal part.
And the non-verbal communication is body language, posture, facial expressions, behaviors. In fact, that's all behaviors, which is communication. So these are different non-verbal communication that's even more powerful than speaking.
That's why we have body language, what do they call them? Professionals, so people who are able to read people's body language. if they lied or not in court. They do so mostly in court, where they saying, the person might be saying something. They might even pass the test, the lie detector test, because they're so good at it. Because some people can hold their emotions, they're that good. But body language then gives away that this person is lying. Some people are able to read those body languages and actually interpret what you actually were meaning through your body language.
Yes.
Because body language does the speaking.
Yes, and there's a saying that is so true. They say, a picture speaks 1,000 words. That's your body language.
Yeah.
Everything, and because you can say one thing, but your body is saying another.
Your eyes could be
your eyes could be.
You could be rolling your eyes like somebody would say, "Oh, that's you look cute," like whatever. And then you're saying thank you. You verbally you're saying thank you, but your eyes are saying whatever.
Yeah. So have you ever been in something, conversation with someone, and you speaking, but they're not giving you the time of day?
Yeah.
It's like they're not in the room. So your body, because that body language, that posture is saying they're not there, and so understanding all communication is just not verbal. It's also non-verbal, and so you gotta learn how to express yourself verbally as well as non-verbally.
Just like how my husband zones out some of the times. He's like, and I'm like, okay, he's gone. When you get him back, he's gone. He's in another world now. Let's get him back. So come on, Chaplin, he's gone. So yeah, you have to know your person, right? Because when he's gone, okay, you're talking to yourself, Siza, now, because the person talking to is out of this room. Okay. So just learn the body languages of.
But that's the thing with the attention span. Sometimes you everyone's like that. Like a lot of times you hear a part of the message, and then the other part you don't listen.
Yeah, that's why as a speaker as well, you have to be really careful. I'm talking to because we're both speakers.
Yes.
That you have to see that is your audience still engaging with
yes,
you.
Yes.
Because once people start fiddling around, touching their phones, and standing up, going to the bathroom, you've lost them.
You lost them.
Which means either change your style or do something that will bring them back.
Bring them back. Yeah.
Stop.
Because that's also a part of it. Like
stop.
when you communicating into an audience and they're not paying attention, then their body. This is why when you listen to someone and when they're speaking, if you're not giving them a time of day and you start doing that, the person that's speaking sees that, and it don't look good for
It sometimes drains them as well.
Yeah, it does. It is draining because you're like, hold on, I'm doing all this speaking, I'm talking, I'm trying to help those, and you just zone out like I just did, like I do sometimes.
And especially as a speaker,
But I don't do it on purpose though.
You just spoke over me.
Okay.
When your audience you've lost your audience. When somebody speaks over you like that, you lose your train of thought.
Okay.
But what I wanted to say is when you've lost your audience, then it means you're just talking to yourself.
Yes,
there's no point, and that's why it's very important to think that you have to have different speaking styles.
Yes, that's true.
And you have to know when to stop.
Yes, that's so true. Yeah, you gotta have. Yeah, you definitely. If you're a speaker, you can't. That's speaking 101. You can't stick to the same style because a lot of times they get accustomed to that same way, and then they're not even listening. Yeah, they just zone out and they're not even listening because but you come with a different tactic, and you're like, oh, okay, because sometimes people become like a habit or second nature. Like, okay, I know what pastor's gonna do today, or I know what such and such gonna do today, because they always do the same thing, and so a lot of times you gotta learn how to switch it up when you're speaking, so that they can say, oh, I know what they're going to do today.
And before we go into our next point, I want to remind you that this podcast was sponsored by
Next Opportunity Window. Yes, we are learning, we are growing. We said come and join the community. Why? Because we can all become better speakers. We can all learn how to communicate with one another, How we learning how to communicate with one another through the daily things. We're engaged in the content every day in the daily things. Also, the weekly lunch and learn. This is how we able to perfect our communication because we able to speak to each other and see each other's faces. We have monthly webinars. This is another way how we able to affect our communication through the chat. And we have quarterly mastermind. So if you're struggling and communicating with others, we say join the community so that you can be able to connect and learn and grow with other like-minded individuals who look just like you, who speak your language. You know, when we all in the same thing, looking for the same thing, meaning we speak in the same language, meaning we believe in the same thing, we share in the same values. So we say join the community. Guess what? One of the things that, you know, by being a part of this community, if I coach you one-on-one, it will be over $5,000. But because, you know, I want to help those individuals that can't give $5,000, because that will be my value, I say, you know what? You could join the community at a monthly subscription for $59.99 or an annual subscription for $399 a year, and you have total access of me. And you get asked all your questions, and I'm coaching you during the weekly lunch lines and quarterly masterminds and all that. I'm coaching you to be a better person so that you can achieve your goals. And so we just thank you, and we say join the community, as well as before you join, we do give you a trial offer to see if you like it with no hassle, and before you actually take that plunge and commit to the monthly subscription or the annual subscription. Yes. Now back to the show.
Well, it's not a show.
Yeah, back to the show.
So we want to say every moment is a teachable moment. That will bring clarification and self-discovery to define the relationship you have. So use every moment as you speak to someone as a self-discovery moment as well, because you're learning something through listening to the next person.
Yes. Because you got to realize, son, sometimes we could be in a relationship with someone when we shouldn't be in a relationship with.
But you talking partner relationship.
I'm talking about anyone, anything. You know, sometimes when you're dating somebody, friends, sometimes you...
What about family? Because you can't choose that.
You can't choose that. But you can distance yourself from family. You don't have to, like my mom's always said, speeding with a long hand the fool. But so, you know, 'cause we got to realize, you know, sometimes people are in your life for different reasons. They're in there for seasons, for a day, for a moment, and some is for a lifetime. So like your marriage partner, that's supposed to be a lifetime partnership. So guess what? That's, you know, you got to make sure you choose the right partner, because, you know, and so if you're not learning and having these teachable moments to define your relationship with that partner, you know, you're going to go into that relationship and like, man, why did I marry this person? Because you didn't discover them.
Yeah.
You didn't get clarification.
But let's just say, maybe let's just say you realize that you made the wrong decision as such. Maybe you have not given yourself time to actually find out who this person is.
That's true.
So use tools that are out there.
Yes.
You know, to help you discover who you are.
Yes.
That will help you discover who the next person is.
You just said something too.
I know I did.
You just said something.
I know I did.
Because the reason why a lot of times we end up with the wrong partner is because we first we didn't discover ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's very important too, that we use every moment as a teacher moment, because a lot of times as we communicating with others, we also learn it ourselves. We discover ourselves. We discover how we handle things, because a lot of times it's not the other individual. A lot of times it is us.
Absolutely.
And so we want to learn. We want to always use everything as a teacher moment, so that we can bring clarity. We can bring the self-discovery to that relationship, if this is going to be a lifetime
and it's
relationship.
all part of communication.
Yeah, and it's just going to be for a moment or for a season. What is this relationship? You know what I'm saying? You know. So yeah, so definitely use every moment as a teacher moment, because, you know, maybe some relationship that you're in right now, you need to get out of. Let's just think about that for a moment.
And on that note, we want to say, record the conversation if you have to.
Yes.
I know, like in a marriage, I would say, I wish I recorded that because, partners, they can deny. So I'll be like, I always have to press record. I've never done it, but I sometimes think, I have to always be on standby when I record because, the boy can sometimes deny. It could not just be your husband or your spouse. It could be a friend. It could be whatever. And that's why some people record each other. And that's why we have so many leaks. Because people record each other because they don't either trust each other or they know that the other one is a bad listener.
But if you record, make sure both parties is in agreement with that as well.
You don't necessarily have to.
You have a communication because you gotta remember, if you're gonna record a conversation, you want to make sure that both parties.
Then there won't be any honesty in that because now you start,
No.
I want your genuine answer.
The only reason why you're using the record button is so that you can get clarity of what the person's saying.
No, it's evidence.
No, and you want to get clarity.
It's evidence.
So that you get.
That you see, I told you lied. See?
What?
Here's the proof. Here's the receipts. It's
What?
receipts.
What?
Receipts. Can't deny it now. It's all in black and white. All in the voice.
What you mean? What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's why I record. I record for the receipts. It's proof that you said this. Hold on, let me go grab my recorder.
I'm saying, but
Look at the dates. Look at the time.
It might be receipts, but I'm saying you're using it so that you get a better understanding.
That's what you think. But as far as I'm concerned, I will record for the receipts. End of story. And then because if you like my husband, just seek help. Just seek help because guess what? You'll be contradicted a lot. A lot.
Yes. So we would like to say, if you enjoy this podcast and you feel like, there's somebody that can be helped by this podcast, we say share it with someone. Share it with somebody so that they can be encouraged and they can get help through the words that we spoke. And so, yes, we also say you can listen to us on the audio podcast, and we on all audio platforms that you listen to. So while you're not listening to the video and while you're driving, you can listen to the audio. And we always say follow us, leave a review, rate us. It does help us to continue to grow the channel. And you can follow us. Follow.
And subscribe if you haven't.
And subscribe, yes, and subscribe. And hit that notification bell.
That's it. And you can follow me personally at Lady Siza 1 on Instagram and...
Yes, you can follow me at Get Inspired by LJ. Yes. And you can follow us collectively at Chilling with the Chaplins.
Yes. On that note, we hope you had a great Valentine's on Tuesday.
So
we'll see you.
See you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.